Dear listeners, welcome to 左见园, Garden of Humble Views. In the fourth episode, I want to talk about a fun and relaxing topic, food, which everyone loves. Also, as a podcaster from China, we Chinese are very proud of our food culture. So how can I not talk about food, right? I used to live and work in Shanghai for more than 5 years, and it is a fabulous international city that I really love. So I want to share with you some of my food memories in Shanghai and recommend you my top restaurant choice in the city. I enjoy those restaurants very much, not only because their food are fantastic, but also I have funny, interesting, and nice experience and memories associated to them. In the title, maybe I'm a little bit exaggerating by using the word nostalgic, because actually it's not something happened so long time ago. But I started to live in Shanghai since 2016, which is already almost 10 years ago. So I think I can rightfully use the word nostalgia. Another reason I want to do this episode is actually related to a trip I did early this year. I went back to China with 2 Italian friends, and we traveled to different cities like Beijing, Shanghai, and Suzhou. We had a great time together and really enjoyed the trip. Since last year, China started to have the visa-free policy for travelers from some European and Asian countries. Thanks to this new policy, Chinese cities are becoming popular destinations for international tourists. I still remember when we went to the Great Wall in Beijing, I feel like 80% of the visitors are not from China. And Shanghai is full of Korean tourists in their fashion outfit and with coffee in their hands, doing popular city walk in the historical neighborhood of Shanghai. So I was half joking and half serious talking with my friends, saying that maybe instead of doing academic job after getting my PhD, doing some business related to tourism may be more feasible and promising. I can offer service to international tourists to help them prepare their trip to China. So when I was planning the content of this episode, I was thinking maybe let's just try one episode with a little bit tourism content to see if my listeners like this kind of topic. Okay, let's get back to the main topic today, my top restaurant choice in Shanghai. After deciding the main theme of this episode, I was searching for my favorite restaurants in my memories, and these 4 restaurants came out. 2 of them offering the cuisine from Yangtze River Delta, which is a region including Shanghai, South Jiangsu Province, and North Zhejiang Province. This region is the most developed area in China, and also quite often the first destination for international tourists, because there are many flights arriving in Shanghai. Another restaurant specializing cuisines from Hunan Province, which is my hometown region. And the last one offers a Cantonese dish, but also closely related to Hainan, which is the most south tropical island of China. Since I'm talking about the restaurant in Shanghai, of course I'm going to introduce my favorite place for Shanghai cuisine, which is Cuiting Jiujia. The name of the restaurant literally means Green Pavilion Restaurant. In Chinese, Cui, the first Chinese character of the name, refers to a kind of bird called kingfisher. If you Google it, you can see the bird has a beautiful blue-green feather, so the meaning of this Chinese character has been further extended to describe this kind of green-bluish color. Ting means pavilion, a typical Chinese architecture which can be commonly seen in traditional gardens. So putting together these 2 Chinese characters, you can imagine this Chinese-style pavilion with beautiful blue and green tile as rooftop. So I would say it's a fairly poetic name for a restaurant, and also has a very strong local feature, because this region is also very famous for classic gardens. To be honest, I cannot remember how many times I've been to this place. Every time I had my friends or relatives came to Shanghai to visit me, I always bring them to this place, because it offers authentic Shanghai cuisine and also had great location. There were 3 dishes I always ordered: grilled fish served on bamboo net, 竹网鲈鱼; duck cooked in sweet soy sauce, 酱鸭; and clover cooked with liquor, 酒香草头. Actually, I don't know if the fish is a typical Shanghai cuisine, but it is indeed very tasty. The fish is marinated in sauce and spice, then grilled and served on top of a deep-fried spring onion. The bamboo net actually is a part of a plate, only a decoration, but it gives a little bit of fisherman vibe because in the past, after catching the fish, the fishermen always keep them in a basket made of bamboo. On the other hand, the duck cooked in sweet soy sauce is a very famous traditional Shanghai dish, and it also has a stereotypical appearance of Shanghai food. The dark red and brownish color giving a little bit of shining spark because of oil and sugar. The duck is first boiled, then pan-fried to release the grease underneath the skin, and then you cook it in dark soy sauce with different spice and a lot of sugar. The dish can be served both cold and hot, but much tastier when it's served as a cold dish. It's a harmonious combination of sweet, salty, and umami flavor given by the soy sauce and spice. Last but not least is the bird clover cooked with Chinese liquor. You can also see this plant in Europe, probably in the park, but it is mostly consumed as vegetable in China, particularly in this region. My mom sometimes also cook it at home. The preparation is also very easy. All you need are bird clover, soy sauce, sugar, salt, and most importantly, Chinese liquor, baijiu. The cooking fire must be very strong, and the process needs to be very fast. The Chinese liquor will be vaporized during the cooking. Get rid of the alcohol, but only keep the fragrance. So this plate will give you the freshness from the vegetable, the fragrance of the alcohol, and the sweetness and tasty from the soy sauce and the sugar. The person who invented this simple and tasty dish must be a genius. In July, I visited my friends in Bolzano and also went to their small farm where they grow vegetables. Because I miss this dish so much, I saw there are some clovers in their farm, so we decided to harvest and cook them. Because we don't have the right ingredients, so we have to make some compromise. Instead of using Chinese soy sauce, we used the Japanese one. There was no Chinese liquor, so we replaced it with whiskey. The final result was actually not bad. Now you can see how much I love this plate. Another reason I like this place so much is the prime location. This restaurant was located at the city center on Shanxi Road and very close to East Nanjing Road, so it is very easy to reach. Just take Metro Line 2 or Line 10 and arrive at East Nanjing Road station. You can easily find the restaurant on this narrow street, surrounded by the glamorous light of the Shanghai night. After dinner, we usually go for a digestive walk along the Nanjing Road, going directly towards the Bund, which is the most famous waterfront. I think not only in Shanghai, but all over China. On the one side, you have the historical building built in the late 19th century and early 20th century in different architectural style, ranging from classic, baroque, to art deco. Then you go upstairs to the viewing platform. Here you can see the iconic Shanghai skyline composed by skyscraper across the Huangpu River. But unfortunately, this restaurant was closed permanently in 2024. I think the pandemic must be the biggest cause of its closure, as Shanghai had a city-scale lockdown in the spring of 2022, and many places were unable to recover from it. There are some rumors saying that the owner sold the restaurant and migrated abroad with his family. There is a Chinese version of TripAdvisor I always check when I'm looking for a restaurant. The Green Pavilion restaurant has been in my saved folder for a very long time, I think more than 7 or 8 years, and now its icon turned gray in the app. This is something definitely make you feel sad. I'm just a little bit regret that I should have taken more photos of the dishes and the environment of the restaurant. The only photo I have in the restaurant is a dinner I had with my Italian professor when he came to China to attend international conference. In that photo, I can see we ordered exactly the same 3 dishes I just talked about before. And now what left are only the memories of food and the joyful moment I had with my friends in 翠亭酒家. The second place I want to share with you is 孔乙己酒家, located in the Shanghai Old City, right next to the Confucian Temple. The area of the Green Pavilion restaurant used to be the public concession where the Western powers settled in China during the second half of 19th century and the first half of the 20th century. So there you can see the architecture style and the city planning and the street design are more westernized, while the area of Kongyi restaurant is more like traditional Chinese city with small houses and narrow streets. The name of the restaurant Kongyi is from a short novel published in 1919 written by Lu Xun, a very famous and important writer. He was one of the leading figures of the New Culture movement during the 1910s and 20s, and his work had substantial influence on Chinese society. He was known for his satirical tone and critical reflection on Chinese history, culture, and society, and I believe almost every Chinese knows him because several of his short novels are included in our textbook in school. Today in Shanghai, there is a park named after him, and his tomb is also inside the park. This restaurant is named after a character by Lu Xun, and Lu Xun himself was from Shaoxing. So obviously, this restaurant is specialized in Shaoxing cuisine. I went to this place twice. The first time was the farewell dinner organized by my colleague when I was leaving Shanghai in 2021. The second time was early this year when I traveled back to China with my Italian friends. In fact, the cover photo of today's episode was the dishes from the dinner we had in Kongyi early this year. The most famous Shaoxing cuisine must be 梅干菜烧肉, pork cooked with dried vegetable flavored by soy sauce and sugar, and 花雕鸡, steamed chicken marinated in rice wine. And you can see both dishes from the cover photo of today's episode. Besides delicious food, I think the most interesting feature of this restaurant must be the rice wine tasting. The Chinese rice wine 黄酒 literally means yellow wine, has a history of more than 3,000 years, and is particularly popular in Jiangnan region, which broadly refers to the region covering South Jiangsu province, Shanghai, and North Zhejiang province. I think some international listeners may heard about Chinese 白酒, literally means white wine. It's a type of strong liquor made of grain. I don't like it because it's too strong and it can reach even to 52 degrees. 黄酒, the yellow wine, actually is more comparable to the wine made of grape, which is popular in Europe, because it can be also categorized into different types according to their sweetness, like dry, half sweet, and sweet, just like wine. It is much milder, normally around 12 to 15 degrees, also very similar to wine. 黄酒 is also commonly used in family cooking to help us to get rid of the unwanted smell of blood from meat. Today, many Chinese restaurants in Europe also offer 白酒, but not 黄酒, the yellow wine, which for me is a pity, because I think 黄酒 is way much better and tastier than the very strong 白酒. Luckily, this restaurant is still open and doing pretty well in business. So if you have the chance to visit Shanghai in the future, I definitely recommend you to go there and taste delicious food and try the yellow wine. The third restaurant I want to talk about is a Hunan restaurant, Yuxiangli, specializing in the cuisine from my hometown region, which is famous for spicy food. Actually, I've only been to this place once, but they have decent food. So if you are craving for something spicy in Shanghai, this could be also a possible choice. But the story of how I get to know this restaurant is kind of interesting. I remember it was in 2019, I was invited to a UNESCO international conference in China, and my Italian professor invited me to participate in a mission report for the conference, doing some research about China's rural and urban development driven by culture. Thanks to this job, I managed to get my very first payment for UNESCO, and it was a few $1,000 to my bank account. So in order to thank my professor getting me involved in this project, I think I should treat him a nice dinner in Shanghai. So when I was struggling which restaurant I should take him, he himself proposed he wanted to eat the most well-known Hunan dish, the fish head steamed with pickled chili pepper, 剁椒鱼头. To be honest, I was a little bit surprised by his choice, because I have this impression that some Westerners don't like the unconventional body part of animal, and also cannot eat something very spicy. So I'm really happy that he appreciates the food from my hometown. Well, he lived in and worked in China for more than 10 years, so I guess he is also more adventurous in terms of food choice. At that dinner, of course, we ordered the fish head and also some other side dishes like pork cooked with pepper and vegetables. The restaurant is located in the city center, so we did an after-dinner walk as usual, and we went to my favorite gelato place in Shanghai. The gelato place is called Da Cuore, which means from heart in Italian. It offers some flavors based on local food, such as rice wine and taro flavor. So I think it's a nice combo to have some spicy food first, and then have some refreshing gelato as dessert. The place is also approved by my professor, who is also an Italian. The last restaurant is 田园山里椰子鸡, specializing in coconut chicken hot pot. This kind of hot pot may be not so known to our international listeners, because when we talk about hot pot, many of us may immediately think of the hot pot from Sichuan or Chongqing. The one has very spicy broth covered with red chili oil. But the one I'm talking about now is a different kind from Guangdong province. The coconut chicken hot pot was invented in the 90s in Shenzhen. A local restaurant owner just had this sudden thought to boil chicken in the coconut water instead of water, and the result was very delicious. Both the chicken and the soup get the fragrance of the coconut fruit. The natural sweetness from the coconut water also makes the chicken tender and umami, gives this dish a very special tropical taste. Despite the easy cooking process, the ingredients becomes the most essential part of this dish. The coconut and the chicken used in this plate both from Hainan Island, which is the most south province of China and also the only province completely in the tropical climate zone. Coconut is a kind of plant originally from Hainan and Southeast Asia. It has so many uses. The coconut water is a very refreshing summer drink. The oil is also commonly used for cooking, baking, and even skin care. The inner flesh, the white part, can be also consumed directly or used in baking or to make coconut milk. As for the chicken, it must be the one from Wenchang City in Hainan province. The city is located on the east coast of the island and has a long history of raising chicken. The Wenchang chicken is famous for its thin skin, tender meat, and the well-balanced fat and muscle. It has been labeled as a geographical indication product in 2004 and is widely used in different kinds of dishes. Here, I also want to share a little fun fact about the Wenchang city. The city has a space launch site where the Chinese Space Agency launched rocket for space mission. As a tropical island with low latitude, Wenchang Space Launch Site can take fully advantage of the rotation force of the Earth, so having the same amount of fuel, the rocket can carry heavier loads to the space. Therefore, Wenchang Space Launch Site is very promising for long-term development because of its advantaged geographical location. Next to the launching site, there is also China's first commercial launch site to send commercial satellites to the space. Now let's back to the restaurant. Besides using the ingredients I mentioned above, the restaurant also did a little bit of adjustment to the recipe. Besides using the coconut water from Hainan Island, which is milder and more refreshing and less sweet, They also mix some coconut water from Thailand, which is sweeter and thicker. Combining two types of coconut water, it gives more layers to the broth. I think elevated the taste quite a bit. When serving the coconut chicken, the waiter brings a pot and then places it at the center of the table on top of an electric stove. Then they open two coconuts right in front of you and pour the water inside the pot. Then they also add some spring onions and the inner flesh of the coconut to boil together. When the broth is fully boiling, they put a whole plate of wenchang chicken, cover the pot, and then set a timer for 5 minutes if I remember correctly. When the timer finishes, we can open the cover and enjoy the tender chicken meat. Also now, it's the best moment to drink some soup, as the taste of chicken is fully released in the broth, which is a great combination of the savory from the meat and the sweetness from the coconut. When eating the chicken, we can also dip it in the sauce made of soy sauce, ginger, lime, and Thai chili pepper. What a wonderful dish! How I found this restaurant is also a funny story. The son of one of the richest guy in China actually once went to this place to have a coconut chicken hot pot. So when I went to this place, the moment I entered, I saw a group of young and pretty girls sitting on one table, not talking to each other, but just checking their makeup and outfit silently. I guess they went there hoping that rich guy will come over again so they can get his attention. It was such a funny and bizarre scene. These are the 4 restaurants I want to share with you today in this episode. To be honest, when I was recording this episode, I started to have the image of the food from those restaurants in my brain, and I have this strong feeling of craving for food from those places. So next time when I go back to China, I will surely going to have dinner in one of those places. On the other hand, I also have to admit that none of these restaurants is vegetarian friendly. This is also something I feel has a huge potential for the development in the future for China's dining business. Here in Europe, it's very common to see in the restaurant having vegetarian choice. On the menu, you can see sometimes they use a small green leaf to mark the dishes to show that this is a vegetarian one. I have this Italian friend who visited China for 20 days alone in April this year. He's a vegetarian and he did suffer a lot when looking for food in China. I think the problem is not because we eat so much meat in China. The problem is that it is not clearly marked. So because of the language barrier, it's very difficult for him to make choice in Chinese restaurant. Because I know in China for sure we have restaurants making fantastic vegetarian dishes, because we have so many different types of tofu and so many different kinds of fresh vegetables. So I think this is definitely a promising field of business which can be improved if we want to have more international tourists with different dining choice. Besides offering delicious food, another important feature of all these restaurants is that none of them is inside a shopping mall. They are all located along the street and have direct contact with the urban street life. This is something I'm a little bit worried and concerned about Shanghai, because now I feel like there is a very strong trend of what I call shopping mallization of the urban space. In the city center, there are thousands of giant shopping malls connected by metro. So some extreme situation, we don't even to go outdoor at all. You just get out of your place, enter the metro, arriving at the shopping mall, and stay indoor completely. From some point of view, it is convenient to do so because you won't be bothered so much by the weather, if it's raining or it's too hot or too cold outside. But on the other hand, the commercial street and more importantly, the life on the street are slowly dying. The vibes, the vitalities offered by the street life is something cannot be replaced by any shopping mall, no matter how big and how fancy it is. The boom of the real estate business is definitely one of the biggest cause. So I really hope the city planners, the policymakers, and local authorities can do something to make our urban street great again. That's all for today. If you are listening this episode on Spotify or YouTube or other platform where you can leave comments, I'll be really happy to hear from you. Tell me if you like today's content and how do you feel about the tourism-related topic, so I can plan my future episode better. Thank you for listening. I'm Feiran. See you next time in 卓见园, Garden of Humble Views.